Now look at the breakup of America and the breakup of the Western world. The white man is going down. It's time. The rule is up. You can take it or let it alone. Have you ever seen so much confusion among people of so-called intelligence? Listen to the talking heads on TV. They're messed up. When the heads of state and government are confused, that's a sign that they can't rule anymore. Too confused to rule.
What many people don't understand is that it's over for America. America has seen its best days. You know, there used to be a time when the world looked up to America and thought America was the great example of what a country could be. But all the other countries are catching up. The American people are struggling. Our leadership sucks. The parties are whack. And every single day we're praying for inflation to go down. Unfortunately, everyone's pretending like things are okay. And that's the worst part about it. The next couple of years, we're going to see a huge, huge change in America. Potentially, we may see destruction, we may see civil war, we may see all-out battle between the states. Next presidential election is going to be crazy. And I still love living here. I still love America. But let's be real. All empires fall. And I think America is falling.
Listen, if you still want to come to America because you believe in the American dream, let me tell you something. That dream died like 30 plus years ago, and now we're living in a dream that involves paying $10 for a dozen of shitty fucking eggs, paying $2,000 a month for an apartment in the ghetto that's about 700 square feet and it has no walls. And then if you want to go to university here, you're looking at around $100,000 for a 4-year education. That's on the low end. But in those 4 years, you might get shot because everyone seems to want to shoot each other for some ungodly reason. Then you're going to graduate thinking, oh, I graduated, I have a degree now, I'm going to get a good job. Your good job is going to pay you about $40,000 starting off, maybe, and then they're going to say you're going to work 40 hours a week. When in reality, you're going to be working about 50 plus hours a week because they're going to guilt trip you in by saying, we're a family, we're a team, we help each other. And they're not going to pay you overtime for that because why would they? If they get your help for free, why would they pay you for that? Okay? Then there's no work-life balance. That company you're working for now doesn't want to give you vacation days until like maybe your second year working there. And those vacation days are maybe 4 days out of the whole entire year. That includes holidays. All right? Then if you're sick, too bad, you still have to come to work. Okay? Then if you want to buy groceries, your groceries are going to be your whole entire paycheck because no one can afford to eat here anymore. Got it? I go to the grocery store for 4 things. It's like $50. I'm just saying it sucks living here. I don't want to live here. I want to leave. So maybe you should rethink your whole American dream because it's not what it's all cracked up to be. Okay? Okay, love you. Bye.
Family, America is shaking. White America is falling. And many say it's not random. Family, it's not a coincidence. Nations crumble when they refuse to correct past injustices. Family, look at nations like Egypt, Babylon, and Rome. Most of them collapsed, because of the consequences of ignoring justice. Family, America oppressed its black people. Black folks went through slavery. Black people went through systemic injustices. Family, black folks went through mass incarceration, redlining, and Jim Crow. America has made it difficult for the black man for the longest time. Black people are still being oppressed in America today. And family, this could be the major reason as to why white America is collapsing. Today, we look at how America, especially white America, is facing consequences for centuries of oppression. Family, I want you to watch this video all the way to the end as we debunk why white America is falling today. Family, watch this video all the way to the end for you to get the whole analogy. Family, in a special way, I'd like to thank my subscribers who are supporting this channel by buying me a coffee. I do not take your support for granted. The link for buying a coffee is on the description box down below. Let's watch this video, then we'll be right back.
Many of us here in the US are waking up this morning to our investments and stocks plummeting. I know I made the mistake of checking my account. Trump's tariffs have had a huge, huge impact on the economy and will continue to do so. You know, it's a bad sign when his former vice president, Mike Pence, is speaking out directly against these tariffs and warning that the average American will be losing $3,500 this year as a result of the tariffs. Do you know how many people voted for this administration without even understanding what a tariff is? But do you know who did explain it and did warn over and over? Kamala Harris. She spoke out directly against what is happening now. And yet, here we are.
I've seen a lot of content over the last few weeks about how China is beating the United States of America, beating us in tech, in education, in trade. As a United States citizen, I don't actually care about any of that. I think the United States of America has fallen so far behind on humanity that the rest of it doesn't matter to me anymore. I don't care if we're the greatest country in the world, a label we gave ourselves, or the richest country in the world. The only thing I hope for at this point is in my lifetime, people won't go bankrupt, getting sick, that children can have a good education no matter where they live in the country. That's all I want. And quite frankly, I don't think it's asking too much. So if that means China or any other country gets the label of greatest country for a few decades, I don't care. I just want my children and my grandchildren to grow up in peace and not be scared that they're one paycheck away from not being able to feed their families.
No, you guys, this is not leading to a collapse. This is the empire collapsing. I feel like a lot of people think that things always happen all at once. That's not how it works. The empire is collapsing. And Trump's kind of shock and awe campaign, federalizing the police and saying that he's going to be adding troops to all these cities, that is just getting you comfortable with it and used to it, so that when they start making protests illegal and, you know, Palantir has already taken over and has all of your biometric data, then they can start using some of the tactics they've been using in Gaza over here. We have a flaccid Congress that should be checking the president's power, but they're not. Instead, they're running around kissing the asses of Israeli officials and insider trading. You know, it just got reported that Rick Scott, who's one of the most corrupt senators we've ever had, made almost $30 million only just recently off insider trading. Amazing. This is the decadent collapse. It's already happening, and we don't even have an opposition party to fight it.
America is falling behind. When an authoritarian regime attacks academia, science, news reporters, free speech, students, the best and the brightest leave. The same thing happened in Germany, in Russia, in Greece, and it's happening here. And this hurts the country because all of the talent is going elsewhere to help another country.
Listen, if you still want to come to America because you believe in the American dream, let me tell you something. That dream died like 30 plus years ago, and now we're living in a dream that involves paying $10 for a dozen of shitty fucking eggs, paying $2,000 a month for an apartment in the ghetto that's about 700 square feet and it has no walls. And then if you want to go to university here, you're looking at around $100,000 for a 4-year education. That's on the low end. But in those 4 years, you might get shot because everyone seems to want to shoot each other for some ungodly reason. Then you're going to graduate thinking, oh, I graduated, I have a degree now, I'm going to get a good job. Your good job is going to pay you about $40,000 starting off, maybe, and then they're going to say you're going to work 40 hours a week. When in reality, you're going to be working about 50 plus hours a week because they're going to guilt trip you in by saying, we're a family, we're a team, we help each other. And they're not going to pay you overtime for that, because why would they? If they get your help for free, why would they pay you for that? Okay? Then there's no work-life balance. That company you're working for now doesn't want to give you vacation days until like maybe your second year working there. And those vacation days are maybe 4 days out of the whole entire year. That includes holidays. All right. Then if you're sick, too bad, you still have to come to work. Okay. Then if you want to buy groceries, your groceries are going to be your whole entire paycheck, because no one can afford to eat here anymore. Got it? I go to the grocery store for 4 things. It's like $50. I'm just saying it sucks living here. I don't want to live here. I want to leave. So maybe you should rethink your whole American dream, because it's not what it's all cracked up to be. Okay? Okay, love you. Bye.
Y'all want to know one real reason why America's crashing out like crazy right now? Mediocrity don't hit like it used to, baby. See, once upon a time in America, you could be real mid and still thrive. Mediocre effort, boom, you get a house, car, annual vacation, pension, hell, maybe even a boat. You could clock in, coast through the week, grill on Sundays, and still retire with dignity. But that era is dead and gone, baby. And instead of leveling up or adapting, they're mad, they're bitter, and they're not even blaming the billionaires. They blaming you. They have the audacity to blame me. They blaming immigrants, black people, queer folk, anyone they think is taking something that used to be theirs by default. See, they don't want equality. They want comfort. And when mediocrity no longer gets them that comfort, they start rewriting the rules to rig the game again. It ain't about fairness. It's about preserving the lie. The lie that being average should still be enough for them.
The demons are making America fall off, and that's what's happening right now. America is falling off. It's because, this is my take on it. This is not me saying America's stupid, you know what I'm saying? God bless America. America's amazing, you feel me? It's done a lot for me, and it's done a lot for a lot of people. And there's a lot of opportunities out here in the United States and stuff. However, you gotta start understanding America is like just falling off as a whole, because people are starting to wake up to the spells, bro. Like, and this is not me trying to come at like all you Agent Smiths and all you police, all that. Don't be taking this personal, because we are all human. We are not better than anyone, or we are all equal. It's like, I think people are just getting tired of the spells, bro. And people are starting to wake up now. R.I.P. Charlie Kirk. I understand that was crazy. It's just like, there's always something. It's viral outrages. It's a lot of nonsense that's trying to keep our vibration low. And chosen ones know. Now that we are retaining our seed, now that we are seeing things for what they are, we're not down with the spell shit no more. Because it's a lot of spells and demonic people. And it's not even like the people that are like doing the spells. It's the way we're reacting to it. You know what I'm saying? We react in envy and anger and fear. Now you have cops out there arresting black people for no reason. We have, putting people in jail for no reason, just because of envy, of ego, of fear. Our emotions are involved in too much things. But if you go to Japan, if you go somewhere else, if you go somewhere not in America, you see everyone just minding their business, living their life, and just doing them. I remember I went to Tokyo, like everyone was just doing them. Thailand, everyone was just doing them, living their life, living in their own circle. Like, I feel like here in the United States and just America, they want everyone to be, weirdly connected. It's like, all right, like, you don't, like, God made us to be connected and help one another, but, privacy is for a reason, you know what I'm saying? God says don't pray in your secret place, you know what I'm saying? Don't boast and don't be, it's just a lot of spells going on in America, and it's just falling off, because I feel like a lot of people are starting to realize, like, I'm not down with all this witchcraft, like, that's going on anymore, and, like, people are starting to wake up, and it's just what it is, bro, because it's like, it's the system, and it's trying to keep us in this matrix, and this is why God is going to return very soon, because God needs to put stuff straight. It's not, we don't have to, base our life off of manipulation. We can just be happy and live. It's just all jealousy. It's all envy. Jealousy rots the bones. We want to be better than other people. All this other shit. It's just not it. It's destructive. But yeah, America's falling off, I advise y'all, you feel me? If you guys want to find a wife, somewhere else, then you should do that, because it's just a lot of demonic stuff going on.
Anyone who knows me knows that
For like the last 10 years, I've been saying that the United States as we know it will cease to exist in 2026. And I will tell you why I think that is. For starters, every empire lasts about 250 years, right? And the 250th birthday of the United States is next year, 2026. Also, studying the rise and fall of many empires throughout our time. The ones that I looked into was Rome, the Ottoman Empire, the Russian Empire, the British Empire. Those are ones that I compared because a lot of them they have components of how they run their empire very similarly to how the United States moves. And what they all have in common is towards the end, every single one of these empires had mass wage inequality. So that means the wealthy class had the vast majority of the resources and the money and wealth of the empires, while like 90% of the rest of the country were basically struggling. There was also increased corruption, and these empires focused more on their imperial and colonial pursuits rather than at home. So like Ottoman Empire was starting a bunch of wars. Or World War I, they were literally just beefing with everybody. They were just cracking down on any dissent. The Russian Empire too, they were spending their money on just wars. World War I, Rome was literally spending a bunch of money on war. Inflation was also a big contributor. These are all things that we see in America, right? The United States is in like $53 trillion in debt. We barely have clean running water. Our infrastructure is failing. People are living paycheck to paycheck. Some people have lost their jobs and hasn't fully recovered after COVID. And our government thinks it's, especially freshly out of COVID, our government thought it was better. Instead of helping the country who was devastated by a global pandemic, they decided to start an endless war in Ukraine that had nothing to do with us as Americans, right? Solely because America wanted to keep its political power in that region and wanted to threaten Russia, right? So just war pursuits. Same in Palestine. They were literally funding a genocide, sending billions and billions of billions of dollars, just printing fucking money solely to keep their colonial post in the Middle East, which is Israel, alive. While inflation is going insane, the wage inequality is insane in this country. We're losing social services, right? They've cut Medicare, they've cut food stamps, they've cut all this stuff, but they're like, you know what, who needs this money? War. Also, the fact that the government won't help working class people, but will bail out Wall Street any chance it can get. Like, these are just a handful of examples. Not to mention the rise of distrust in the government that's been happening in the last, I want to say since 2008. 2008 was, well, I wouldn't even say 2008. I will say maybe like around 2006. After 9/11 and when Bush sent us into these meaningless wars in the Middle East, a lot of people started not trusting their government so much. And one person that they thought was going to change that was Obama. But the first thing Obama did after, the recession was literally bail out the banks that screwed the entire country over, which later on pushed for more people to not trust the government, which leads to what? Fascism. Yeah, you guessed it. Trump won the first time because he ran as the alternative to the deep state, right? That's why Trump is elected. Obviously, there are people who are like fascist and like racist, and they voted for him for that main reason. But a lot of people who will say that they're not racist, even though like they're gonna side with a man who goes with racist policies. Most of the reasons why they said that is because they're like, we need to drain the swamp and like fight like the deep state or whatever, because it's gotten to a point where the American people don't even trust politicians because they can't even trust them, because they're like, you guys say one thing to us and then do the opposite, only for Trump to turn around and do the same thing. And the fact that we don't have any political opposition in this country, both sides are fighting for one side. So we literally have just the Washington elites, who only thing they seem to care about is pushing imperial missions and goals and continue to colonize and exploit the global south. corporations and just lining their own pockets, not caring about the well-being of this country. And I feel like one of the main things that I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can see America going far, is that we don't even have a sense of collectivisms. A lot of Americans are starting to see each other as enemies. So we're literally experiencing infighting within our own countries. We're too caught up in culture wars to realize that all of us are getting fucked in the ass. Every single one of us are getting fucked. You guys are mad at like the immigrant community, or like the fact that transgender people want to use bathrooms, but not the fact that we don't have clean water, we don't have infrastructure, our food is literally being poisoned. There's a recall every other week. The quality of life and the cost of living ain't adding up. Why am I paying more for less quality of life? And seeing that I've made that, prediction that America don't seem like it's gonna it's not gonna last very long. The closer and closer we get to 2026, the clearer and clearer it gets. And sometimes I feel like, you know what? I wish I was wrong, but I'm not. And it's so sad. And today, with the ICE raids and the deployment of military force on the American people, just sealed the deal. This is why I always pushed an anti-war narrative, because for the last 20-something years, the United States has been literally performing atrocities, literally killing people, doing literal war crimes across the world. And people in America turn a blind eye because they're like, well, they're not us. They're not us. Those are them desert dwellers, those towel head terrorists. And it's like, that doesn't make it right. Just because it's not your group doesn't make it okay. Because what makes you think, if they can dehumanize a human being to the point that they can justify killing millions of Iraqis in Iraq, funding genocides in Palestine, poisoning waters in Latin America, what makes you think that same government won't turn around and do it to you? And that's what we're experiencing today. The same military we've propped up to colonize and destabilize the entire world is now turning around and doing the same to American people. Yeah.
Family, the struggles we are seeing with white America today is actually a fulfillment of God's promise to America, the promise of punishment to white America for oppressing his chosen people. You all know that black people, especially black Americans, black Americans are God's chosen children. And family, white Americans oppressed God's people. And fam, whatever we are experiencing today in white America is actually the consequences of oppressing God's chosen children. White America is falling. Americans are regretting voting for Donald Trump. Donald Trump has become the answer to oppressing white America, the answer to ensuring that white America is being punished. Many white folks voted for Donald Trump overwhelmingly. They thought that Donald Trump would make it possible for them to continue enjoying the privileges that comes with whiteness. But family, right now, America is experiencing its fall under the leadership of Donald J. Trump, a leader that many white folks thought would serve them very, very well. And family, people are saying that Donald Trump could be a vessel that is used by God to ensure that his punishment falls upon white America. Family, we are seeing them struggle so much today. We are seeing white Americans cry left, right, and center over the very high cost of living, talking about major cuts in Medicare and Medicaid. We are seeing them cry about the lack of SNAP benefits in the month of November. Family, all of this is not a coincidence. This is God's divine punishment to America. This is God telling America, enough is enough. You all oppressed my people, and this is now time for you to receive punishment. This is what I call the biblical principle of consequences. Once you do a mistake, you ought to be ready, to receive the consequences of doing that very mistake. Once you sin, you should be ready. If you do not, confess and say that, God, it's true that I did this and that, and I ask for your forgiveness and make amends with the people that you actually wronged. Family, if you cannot do that, then you must face the consequences. Every empire that oppressed people eventually faced collapse. Talk about Egypt, Babylon, and Rome. Any country whose empire fell, oppressed people. Family, when you oppress people, you can never get out of that oppression for free. God must punish you. You must face the consequences of your action. Injustice, exploitation, and cruelty always create a spiritual debt. Black Americans were oppressed, for 400 plus years, and no nation escapes the consequences of that. No nation can escape the consequence, of oppressing other people. And black people were oppressed for more than 400 years, family. This explains the consequences don't just come suddenly. America was warned through civil rights protest, but instead doubled down on racism. Black people have, in fact, faced a lot of systemic injustices even after the civil rights protests. The justice system remained biased. It still is biased today. The economic inequality was ignored. White America refused to confront its history, its very bad history when it comes to treating black people badly. They ignored all that. They still continued to doing whatever they've been perpetuating in black communities all over America. When a nation refuses correction, downfall becomes unavoidable. And that is what white America is experiencing today. They are experiencing their downfall. They are experiencing the consequences of not treating black folks right in America. Family, white Americans standing against each other politically, socially, and culturally. That's the social division that is coming as a punishment to white America. They are now turning against each other politically, socially, and culturally. There is economic struggle. We are looking at inflation right now, the cost of living crisis, food stamps cuts, signs of internal decay. Family, for the longest time, white Americans thought that struggle was meant for black people. Right now, we are seeing them struggle under the inflation of Donald Trump. The cost of living crisis is making life unbearable. Most white Americans are sleeping in their cars. They are considering that because life is very, very expensive. Even for you to rent a one-bedroom house, we are talking about an upwards of $2,000. Just imagine how many Americans can actually afford that each and every month for only housing. Talk about the food stamps cuts in the month of November. This is an economic crisis, and this is the divine punishment of God to white America. Look at the moral confusion right now in America. There are conflicts left, right, and center, cultural wars, and loss of unity. America has since gotten a lot of global decline. America is losing its influence internationally, a classic sign of empire collapsing. Family countries are overtaking America, and America that has always been described as the most successful country, in the world, the most powerful country in the world. It's slowly losing, that analogy that many folks had about America. And America is now facing its decline. Here's where you bring in, here's where you now get to understand how America is actually declining. The people who were oppressed for the longest time are now rising. Those are black people. Those who are oppressed are falling. White folks who are oppressing black people are now falling. Well, the black people who are the oppressed are now rising in America. You'll rarely see a black person complain about what is happening in America today. They've actually been living in the same conditions for the longest time because black people did not get same economic opportunities that white folks have been getting in America. The lives of black people have never been easy in America. They've struggled, they've struggled so much to achieve whatever they have today. The black billionaires you see in America today, have really struggled for black people to reach that status in America. History always flips. This is where you now see that America is actually falling. For centuries, black people carried America on their backs. Now, the very systems built to keep black people down are collapsing on the people who created them. This is powerful, family. This is something that many people did not anticipate. Whether you call it karma, divine justice, or history punishing injustice, one truth remains. You cannot mistreat God's people and expect peace. You must respect God's people. America is facing the consequences of ignoring the cries, of the oppressed. Family, let me know in the comment section down below what you think about the sudden fall of white America. Do you think this is God punishing white America for the systemic injustices they've perpetuated in black communities since the very foundation of America? America was built, on top of the graves of the natives, on the backs of black people. Whoops. Black people being killed, our women being raped, and this is now what we call the punishment for all that black people experienced during those days. Family, let me know in the comment section down below what you think about this video. Kindly like the video so that it can be recommended to other YouTube users, and I'd be very grateful. Lastly, I'd really appreciate if you all took your time to subscribe to the channel. We are currently on the road to 50,000 subscribers, fam. I'd really appreciate if you'd be a part of this amazing journey. Lastly, I'd really appreciate if you all share this video with your friends and family. Fam, the goal of this channel has always been to talk about black stories, black history, and ensure that we tell our stories the black way. Because if we give the white supremacists an opportunity to tell our stories, many a times our stories are distorted and whitewashed. Fam, thank you so much, and see you all in our next episode. Goodbye for now.